So good evening, good day to all of you present at this webinar. We have among us a very prominent historian speaker, Dr. Rohit. He was awarded a Ph.D. in history from Savitribai Phule University, Pune, very recently in 2015. The topic of his thesis was the history of Goa's religion and cultural past, a study based on iconography, AD 4 to AD 1600. He is much sought after for lectures on ancient Indian history, archaeology, culture, etc. Dr. Rohit is also known to have revived interest in cultural dances like the Dhallo and in the Kunbi traditional Sari. His upcoming book titled Goan Bronzes has been approved for publication by the Department of Art and Culture of Goa and is said to be one of the only works of its kind in Goa, which concentrates on Goa's brass and bronze sculptures. Dr. Rohit, once again, a warm welcome to this online history hour. Just an instruction before we begin. If you have any questions or any doubts or clarifications that you would like to raise, kindly drop in a chat in the chat box and I will present them to the speaker who will then respond to them. Dr. Rohit, we are very eager to hear from you. Over to you, Dr. Rohit.
Okay, can you hear me now? Am I audible?
Yes, Doctor, you are.
Okay. At the outset, I would like to thank Xavier Center of Historical Research Center, Pororim, especially Father Tony and Father Anderson for inviting me here to speak on this topic. Okay. If there is any problem with regards to the presentation or there is some kind of lag, please do let me know. I'll start with the presentation, PowerPoint presentation. Is the slideshow visible, Father?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Knowing that there are people who are here and they are coming from different walks, I will not go into the depth of this iconography because it's a very interesting and a very, it's a very interesting topic by itself. Okay, especially with regards to the Hindu iconography. But what I'll try to do is just try to introduce the iconography and the various icons which are found in Goa, which are worshipped in Goa from the ancient times, and also the ones which were there which are there in the museum, the ones which were found during the Portuguese period and they were preserved in the museums of Goa, and also which are there in the temples of Goa and proved to be one of the most important archaeological evidences to study the ancient history of Goa. Because we all know that when it comes to ancient history of Goa, there are very few epigraphical evidences. There are very few written evidences. Like I'm talking with respect to copper plates, with respect to inscriptions, or with respect to any other written evidences that is of the pre-Portuguese period. We have very few of them. We can just, a couple of them I can say. And very few of these which are there in Goa are supposed to be, linking the history, ancient history of Goa. These are also there on the books today because we don't know where the original ones have gone, except for the ones like which have been collected by Father Henry Harish. They are in Mumbai. They are preserved, but the rest ones have just disappeared. But we know that they are existing and they are documented and they are interpreted. So in such cases where we have very few evidences, to construct the history, the archaeological evidences which are available in the form of such kinds of material evidences, I can say. They are supposed to be the sculptures. So I will just start with the introduction. Basically, iconography is just a branch of archaeology and art history which deals with sculptures. Meaning of the word icon, there's this Encarta dictionary which mentions that the term icon is a middle 16th century Latin term, and is originated from a Greek word icon, which means image. This is with regards to the Greek interpretation of the word icon. For us, icon means an image, a picture, or a representation illustrating a supernatural or a divine entity. In case of the Indian version of icon, okay, because what happens is whatever whatever is for the Westerners may not be the same, may not mean the same for the Indians. So when we speak about Hindu iconography, we definitely need to know about the meaning of the word icon, or what that icon means in Sanskrit or in the Indian languages. So in Sanskrit, we have terms which are used, which are called as pratima, vimba, bimba, murti, bera, or vigraha. Now, all these terms are not used in Goa very commonly. We use murti, the term murti, very commonly. Pratima is also used, but the other terms like vimba, bimba, bera, or vigraha, they are more commonly used in South India. But anyway, this pratima or bimba, vimba or bera refers to the image or a reflection. And that is perhaps one of the reasons why, if you go to the temples of Goa, when the aarti is performed in the afternoon, you will find a reflection of the mirror. It is focused on the main idol in the temple. So here you can see Shanta Durga temple, Kavale, where the person stands with a huge mirror in front of the temple and throws the reflection of the sun on the image. So perhaps here they are trying to tell us that the meaning of the word icon, reflection, bimba or bearer. Now I have categorized this into two forms of worships which are found in Goa. Which are they? You have the non-iconic and the iconic. Non-iconic is also called as aniconic. Means there is no icon as such. There is no specific form. It can be just an irregular form, which could be in the form of a conch, an anthill, kalas, or a taranga. So here you can see a conch. This conch is worshipped by the Mamaikama family in Goa. And of course, most of the people who believe in Vishnu, the Vaishnavites, also worship the conch. So here you have evidence. Here you have a very good example of an iconic worship. Then you have satir or the anthill, which is worshipped as Mother Earth. Again, another form of an iconic. There is no specific form to it. Again, you have the taranga, which are worshipped during the Dasara time or any time during the festival in the temple. They are again an iconic. They represent the various deities of the village. They are called as taranga or sutri. And you have the kalas, or the kalash, which represents Mother Earth, which is a symbolic of fertility. It's supposed to be representing the womb of the mother. So these are the various aniconic worships which are found in Goa, and they continue to be worshipped even today. Moving on to the aspects of iconography. I would just like to clarify once again that iconography is again a science of sculptures. It is a graphical study of sculptures. Why do I say graphical? Is because when you have a sculpture to be made, the sculptor during the ancient times, he would have to stick to a set of rules. And why these rules had to be adhered to is because the sculpture had to be proportionate. You could not have a disproportionate sculpture. And this this set of rules, like the face should be of this size, the hand should be of this size, and the leg should be of this size. All this graphical measurements are mentioned in various texts, ancient texts. So if you adhere to this graphical text, I mean the graphical measurements, then the sculpture becomes more proportionate. It does not go out of proportion. Otherwise, you will have something which appears to be very funny, something which does not have very realistic image. Again, it involves making sculptures according to proportion, size, and proper measurements, as I've said it again. Now, what does it involve? It involves mudra, or the poses of the hands and the legs. It includes ayudh, or the weapons which are used. It includes the ornaments like the crowns, jewelry, which is called as the alankar, and of course the vahan, or the vehicle of that particular deity. So when we speak about an icon, an Hindu icon for that matter, we would have to incorporate or look into these last four things like the mudra, the pose, the weapons, the ornaments, and the vahan. Now these give us clues, they are the key identifying features, or they are the attributes which are used to identify an icon, or which are used to identify a sculpture. I'll give you a small example here. You can see a sculpture of Vishnu here, and he's holding a conch, which is called as Shankh. So I'm just trying to, tell you why he's called a Vishnu. Then he holds a chakra, he holds a gada, which is a mace, and he holds a lotus, which is called as the Padma. So these are the key identifying features of Vishnu. Then you have yet another sculpture here. This is from Kudne, Bicholi Taluka. Here you have a sculpture of a couple deity, and this is a form of Shiva. She's called this form is called as Uma Maheshwar. And how do we know he's Shiva? Because he holds a trishul in his hand. And if you just look at it, the trishul is very prominent, and it is telling us that it is the form of Shiva. Now, types of poses or mudra. These are very, very important when it comes to iconography, because mudra changes for every particular deity's sculptures. So a mudra which is there for a sculpture of Shiva may not be there for a sculpture of Vishnu. So here you have the first one which I'm going to talk about, and it is called as Tanak, or standing. If you look at this particular sculpture of Vishnu, he's standing in a straight, perfect position. There is no deviation, there is no bending anywhere. So this is called as Tanak. Next one is Samabhanga or Samapada, where the legs of Vishnu are together. So you can see here, if you have this position, it is just telling us that the sculpture is symmetrical. So if you fold the sculpture in between, you will find that they join, the edges join. And this is very important when it comes to the murti, or the worship, the sculpture which is made for worshipping. So this symmetry has to be maintained, and this symmetry is playing a very important role for the sculptures when they are put for worship. So here you have two sculptures of Vishnu. One is from Priol and the other one is from Kankona. You can see here the Samapada. Sama means same, and Pada means feet. So you can see the feet are near each other. They don't move, or they are not away from each other. There is a kind of a proportion which is maintained with the feet. Then you have Ardha Samapada. Ardha is half, and Samapada, again, you can see here one more sculpture of Krishna, who is worshipped as Gopinath. Today it is in the museum of Goa state, at shifted to the old Adil Shah's palace. And here you can see the feet, they are half. They are not completely in one straight symmetry. So if you fold the sculpture in between, you will find that when it comes to the knees, you cannot they will not match each other. The folds will not match each other. Imagine just like a paper. You take a page and you fold the page right in the middle, and you should get all the edges meeting each other. But in case of Ardha Samapada, it doesn't happen. And in Ardha Samapada, which is half, this kind of pose is found only in the sculpture of Krishna. Then you have the Tribhanga. Tri, it means three in English, and Bhanga means to deviate. And these kinds of mudras are found only in the sculptures of Durga. This is from Ponda Taluka, a 12th century sculpture. And I'm trying to tell you why it is called Tribhanga, because it is deflecting in three different positions. So you can see the face has one deflection, the body has another deflection, and the leg has another deflection. So this Tribhanga is found normally in the sculptures of Mahishasur Mardani, or which are commonly called as Durga. Very beautiful sculpture of Mahishasur Mardani from Ponda Taluka, and it dates to the 12th century. I'll be speaking about more of these in the later slides of mine. Another aspect of iconography is the asana, or to sit. So when we have this, you have the Padmasana. Padmasana means cross legs, and she is seated on a lotus. You can see the legs here. You'll be able to notice that they depict the petals of a lotus. So this is called as Padmasana. Again, you have Sukhasana and Lalitasana. Sukhasana means you are seated in a comfortable pose. You can see two sculptures. These are in Sukhasana. They are seated in a comfortable pose with the knee raised and with one leg bent and the other leg in the folded position. You have Lalitasana, a similar kind of pose. Again, this sculpture, what you see is a sculpture of Kuber, and it was found in Bicholi. A very interesting sculpture, and he's supposed to be the god of wealth, and not only worshipped by the Hindus, but also worshipped in the Buddhist pantheon. So Kuber. Then you have the Shayana Murti, or the reclining pose. Goa is fortunate to have all these sculptures, which are sculptures of various types, are all found in Goa. Okay, some regions like in Karnataka, or if you go to Maharashtra, compared to the size of the state, Goa is very small. But even if it is small, all varied varieties of sculptures are found in Goa. And you have the Shayana Murti, or the reclining pose. Here, this is shown only for the sculpture of Ananta, or Vishnu, who is believed to be reclining in the ocean. So this sculpture again is found in the Ponda Taluka, in the village of Savoy. It is the only sculpture of its kind in Goa. So it's a very beautiful panel. I'll be talking about it later on, explaining to you the details about it later on. Then you have the hand gestures, or the mudras of the hands. So very important. Here you see the hand, which shows the Varad mudra, or the boon giving mudra. So he's giving us something. Yet you have another one. You can see here in the Ganpati sculpture, which is found in the Ponda Taluka. I would like to make a mention that this Ganpati was there in worshipped in Diwar before the Portuguese came, and there are references of this temple existing in Diwar. Today it is shifted to the Ponda Taluka in Khandola village, and you can see his hand. This hand is "Fear not, don't fear, I am there standing behind you." This is the Abhay Mudra. You have Kativelambit Mudra, the hand on the waist. So this is again a very beautiful 11th century sculpture, which is found in Ponda. Then I'll just go to this mudra, but though it doesn't connect the presentation, it is called Bhumi Sparsha Mudra, where it is found only in the case of Gautam Buddha sculpture. Why I'm showing you this Bhumi Sparsha Mudra, though it doesn't connect to the topic, it connects more to the Buddhist studies. But this sculpture was found in Goa, and it is the only sculpture of its kind. Today it is kept in the Goa State Museum. It was found in Sange Taluka in the village of Rivna. And I think two sculptures were found in Goa. One was found in Kolwale by Father Henry Herash, and this is the second one of Gautam Buddha. Then you have the Anjali or the Namaskar. You have one bronze sculpture of Garud, the vehicle of Vishnu, and the other one is of a saint. This was found in the Bicholi Taluka. And the Katak or the feast. This feast are made specially so that you can insert a flower, a sword, or a weapon into the hands of the deities. So this is called as the Katak Mudra. Then you have the Lolahasta or the dangling hand, which is just left down. Now, I'll just go quickly through the headgears and the various hairstyles. These tell us about the various socio-cultural, customs which are followed in those ancient times. You have the Kirit Mukuta or the pointed crown. This kind of crown has a knob-like feature on the pinnacle, and it is very commonly found in the Goan sculptures. So you can see the crown here. Right on the top, you will have a knob-like pinnacle on the top. Now, these were used only for royal kings or royal entities. So that is why they find a place in the Goan sculptures where, these sculptures date to the 11th and the 12th century. And you can see that the dynasties who have ruled Goa, their influences on this sculptural art is seen. So you can see the knob-like structure on top. This is called as kirit, and it is only used, it was only worn by the royal families at that time, the kings and the queens. Then you have another example of kirit. You can see the knob-like structure on top. So by that you can make out that he or she belongs to the royal family, or he or she is to be worshipped. Again, you have in the left hand side a sculpture of Betar, who is a folk deity of Goa. And again, the Ravalnath, again the folk deity of Goa. Again, they are shown wearing a Kirit Mukuta. Then you have the Karand Mukuta, which is an upturned vessel. Of course, this type of crown is not found on any sculpture of Goa. I'll go to the hairstyles or Keshban. You have the Jata Mukuta, which is normally seen in the Shiva sculptures. And here you have very beautiful examples of Jata or the matted hair. Shiva does not wear crowns. He's supposed to be a ascetic. He's supposed to be meditating on the Mount Kailash. And that is why his hair is shown to be tied in a particular fashion. Okay, that is Jata. So the moment you have this particular crown on the head, you're supposed to know that he is a form of Shiva. Then you have another type which is called as Mudi Mukut. Mudi means a bunch. You can see here there's a sculpture of Ganpati, and on the top you can see his hair is tied. You can, this artist in the 12th century or the 13th century has shown very minute details. You can see actually the strands of the hair are tied in the form of a ribbon, and he's wrapped it around the head. So this is called as Mudi. Mudi means just to tie. Then you have another very interesting style of hairstyle, which is called as dhammila. And normally this was worn, or this was, used by the attendants or deities who have less importance. So here you can see dhammila style, where you can see there is a bun-like thing which is jetting out from the head, and there is a pin which is inserted to keep the hair in place. So there is one more here. I've shown you this sculpture of Gopinath or Krishna. You can see his hairstyle. He is also wearing that dhammila kind of hair. The bun you can see here on the right hand side. This is yet another hairstyle which is very commonly seen in Goan sculptures. And let me tell you that, even a few years back, you can just check the pictures of the Hindu families. they too were adorning, the ladies were also adorning this kind of hairstyle. Maybe not the same one, but a similar kind. And the name for this is dhammila. Ornaments and necklaces for the neck. You have the har. These are also to be worn by royal families or by people who are to be worshipped. Earrings. You have the ratna kundal, or uh, the earring which has uh, small pendants or jewels on it, ratna. Then for the shoulders, you have skandamala. You can see on both the sides. They are supposed to be like golden bracelets which are to be kept on the shoulders. Earrings. Now, these earrings, I would like to make a special mention here. Earrings differ with the deities. Like in case of Betal or in case of Shiva, the fierce form, you will have snakes as earrings, and they are called as Sarpa Kundal. So these are to be worn only by deities who are fierce. In case of this, another type of kundal which are called as Makar Kundal. Makar means it's a mythological animal, half peacock, half alligator feet. Okay, so here you have the Makar Kundal, which are normally worn by royal entities and hold a high value in the society, would hold a high value in the society. You can see here the earlobes are pierced in such a way so that the earrings are resting on the shoulders. So these are called as Makar Kundal. Makar is basically the vehicle of Ganga. Okay, so this type of earrings were also in vogue. Again, you can see this sculpture of Vishnu, which is kept in the ASI Museum in Old Goa. And you can see he is wearing Makar Kundal on both the sides. The sculptor has tried to show even the teeth of that animal, mythological animal, if you can see the screen very minutely. Then you have for the legs, the nupur or the anklets. These are worn normally by the sculptures of Vishnu. And also for the feet, which are called as Padasar. Now, Padasar is basically, I would relate it to the folk song which we say, Payachi Sori Dita in the Dekhni. Paisori or Padasar. Sir means string. So these were also very commonly worn by the ladies of Goa. If you just look at the pictures, the vintage pictures of Goa, you'll find the Hindu ladies very sporting, very prominently sporting these, both the nupur as well as the padasar. These were supposed to be ornaments which are supposed to be worn by the married ladies. So even in the tribal cultures, these were worn. So that padasar is here. You can see yet another type of padasar. Weapons are a very key identifying features of a Hindu sculpture. If it is a case of a Vishnu, you'll have the chakra or the disc. Then you'll have the shankha or the conch. Now the conch is a very important identifying feature of Vishnu. Then you have the gada or the mace. Then you have the lotus or the padma. So the Shankha, Chakra, Gada and Padma are important features in case of a sculpture of Vishnu. You have yet another very important weapon, which is normally found in the hands of Parshuram, and it is called as the axe or Parshu in Sanskrit. So you can see the axe. The moment this is seen, you have to either understand that it could be a sculpture of Parshuram or a sculpture of Ganpati also. You have the Veena, which is an identifying feature of Saraswati. You have the Darpan or the mirror. Now let me make a mention here that all these are found in the hands of the sculptures which are found in Goa. A Darpan or the mirror is basically a attribute which is seen in the hands of Parvati, or even in the case of Lakshmi, because this mirror or a darpan is supposed to be a bhog vastu or an element which is supposed to be for used for comfort. So this is a mirror. So we can make out that all these things were very much a part and parcel of the ancient civilization or the ancient culture of Goa. Yet you have another varied example of khadga, which is a sword. And here you have a shield, which is a ketak. So here you have a sculpture of Mahishasur Mardini again, who is killing the Mahishasur demon with the khadga, sword, or the and the shield. Now I will just go to the folk sculptures of Goa. I've already introduced them to you. This is a sculpture of Betal, which is found in Pangini. Many people, many Portuguese, references of Betal are there. These are huge, colossal sculptures which are worshipped all over Goa, even across the coastal belt, Sawantwadi and Karwar also. And this sculpture is the largest among on the coastal belt of Konkan. It is of stone and it is of Betal. It is 3.2 meter height and is worshipped in the village of Lolie in Kankona Taluka. And you can see the sculptor is very beautifully shown in. He's supposed to be worshipped as a very a deity who's supposed to be wrathful, a deity who's supposed to be feared. You can see his anger has turned his body into a as depicting the anger depicts is depicted on the body. The sculptor shows the ribs. The sculptor shows the veins of the hands and so on and so forth. So this is a sculpture of Betal, which is worshipped in Lolie. He holds a sword in his hand always, and is supposed to be very, very wrathful. Again, yet another folk deity which is worshipped all across Goa is Ravalnath, and he is supposed to be the consort or the male counterpart of the mother goddess Sateri. Here you can see a horse near his leg. You can see he holds a sword, a damru and a trishul. So this is a sculpture of Ravalnath. Uh, I would like to again draw your attention to the Brahma sculpture. It is a myth which is propagated that in very few places in India, the Brahma or the creator is worshipped. But in Goa, you have 4 places, 4 villages where Brahma is worshipped. And the most beautiful and the colossal sculpture of Brahma is worshipped in the village of Sattari. You can see it on the screen. The village is called as Brahma Karmali today. It was actually not, addressed by that name. Karmali name has come for that village, though it is in Sattari Taluka, because this sculpture originally was in the village of Karmali or Karambolim, which is called Karambolim today, near Old Goa. And during the Portuguese Inquisition, this sculpture was shifted secretly to Sattari, where it is worshipped today. And another sculpture is also worshipped in Kolam, which is in Sange, Virnoda, which is in Pedne, and Parshe, which is again in Pedne. All the 3 sculptures are in the Goa State Museum, except for this one, which you can see on the screen. So this is a sculpture of Brahma. So the myth when somebody says that, where there are very few places in India where the creator is worshipped, it is wrong. So Goa also can boast about Brahma being worshipped also over here. Saraswati, the goddess of learning. Normally we find, temporary images or sculptures of Saraswati made, and they are worshipped in many places. But this is a 12th century sculpture, a very beautiful one, and the only sculpture of Saraswati, ancient sculpture of Saraswati in Goa. And you can see she holds a lotus in her one hand, the veena or the lute is there in the other hand. She holds a book and she holds a rosary. So these are supposed to be attributes, or these are supposed to be indications or indicators of learning. Okay, the rosary is supposed to be giving you meditation, and the book is supposed to represent knowledge, and veena is supposed to represent the musical aspect of the knowledge. Again, this is very commonly worshipped, so I thought of putting it in this presentation. And here you have the worship of Sateri or the antil. Very folk form of worship. Initially, it was there were no sculptures for this kind of worship. Only the anthills were worshipped, and the name Sater or Sateri, okay, has also a meaning behind it. Sat means land or earth, and air means to come above. Like we use the common term in Goa, no? Like malier or talier or jiber. So air means on the top. So something about the earth, something about the land. And because the anthills would grow, they called it Sat air. Later on, during the 14th, 15th century, sculptures of Sateri were being coined. And then she was addressed as Shanta Durga. Okay, so when a sculpture has to be made, it has to represent the antil. And how would they make a sculpture which represents an antil? What would be the key identifying features of this sculpture? So they made sculptures where the goddess would be shown holding snakes in her hand, because snakes were supposed to be, uh, found in the antil. So sculptures of Sateri normally have snakes in her hand. And you can see, because they want to show an ecosystem, because wherever there is an antil, the area is always damp, the environment is cool. There is also some kind of dampness, maybe a water body nearby. So you see, they have shown cows also near the Satir. And then she was worshipped as Shanta Durga in many villages. Mahishasura I have already explained to you. She's also worshipped as Navadurga in Goa. Of course, this name Navadurga has come much later on. Portuguese references of the 16th century make mention her as Durga Devi, just Durga Devi. So this Navadurga might be later on. Mahishasura is because she killed the Mahishasura demon. You can see near her leg, she's killing the demon who is in the form of a buffalo. And she's holding a shank and a chakra in her hand. And you have many sculptures of this kind dating to the 11th, 12th, and the 13th, 14th century found across all villages of Goa. Yet another beautiful sculpture where I would just like to draw your attention to. You can see a sculpture of Chamundeshwari, again only of its kind worshipped in Goa here. She's supposed to be the the fierce form of Parvati who killed the demon Chamunda. And this was worshipped in Pilar, in the village of Pilar, today's near Goa Velia. Later on shifted to Bicholi. So today it is in Bicholi. Very intricate filigree work you can see on the sculpture. It's a stone sculpture, but you can see that the sculptor of that particular era has shown a lot of dynamism in the sculpture. You can see she's dancing on that demon, and the face and the hands and the body are all become very they've shown the ribs and the bones just to show that she's very angry. And again you can see right on the top she's wearing a jata mukut, which is again supposed to be worn by people, gods or goddesses who do not who are either in the who are either meditating, or who are having a very fierce or a ugra form. So this is Chamundeshwari. I would like to draw your attention to the left hand side, what she's holding. If you can just see minutely here, I'm showing my cursor. There is a small loop or a rope which is shown in her hand. Again, she has got around 8 hands, and in one of the hands she's holding a small rope. Okay, it's a, you can see here. Let me tell you, it's very fine, around 2 centimeters of dia, and you can still pass a thread through it, though it is made out of stone. So this is one of the best and the most intricately carved sculptures found in Goa. Gajalakshmi, again worshipped in most of the villages of Sattari Taluka, the goddess of wealth, the goddess of giving, or the goddess of prosperity. So why she's called as Gajalakshmi is because Gaja means elephants, and they are showering water on her head. And you can see Lakshmi seated holding two fully blown lotuses in her hand. And you can see that there, the sculptures which are found of Gajalakshmi in the Sattari Taluka are just huge. They are extremely beautiful, intricately carved. I will not go in the depth of explaining what this sculpture speaks about, but if you just give it a glance, you'll come to know the different kinds of weapons which were used. There is a panel which shows war. So weapons, different kinds of musical instruments which were used, and the various other cultural aspects can be seen through this sculpture. Uh, this I would like to draw your attention to yet another worship which is called as Devki Krishna, supposed to be the only worship in the whole of India where Devaki, the biological mother of Krishna, is worshipped along with baby Krishna. And this temple was there in Shora, and today it is there in shifted to today to later on during the Portuguese period it was shifted to Mashel. So this is a very unique worship which is found in Goa, and here you can see the biological mother of Krishna holding him in her hand. The Devki Krishna, supposed to be the only temple of its kind in India, supposed to be. Again, I would like to draw your attention to two very interesting forms of Vishnu. To the left hand side, what you can see is a very early form of Vishnu which is found in the Kankona Taluka, dating to the Badami Chalukyan era, and very simple but of a very early period. And here you can see to the right hand side, there's a sculpture of cave. Again, Vishnu has 10 avatars, that is why he's called to be Dasha Avatar, 10, and 24 forms or Chovis Roop. And how are these forms identified? These forms are identified based on the weapons he holds, the attributes he holds in the hand, in the way they are put together. So if you start from the right hand side, you can see a Shankha, you can see a Chakra, disc, Gada, and a Padma. So you identify this as Keshav. Like that in Goa, you have around 12 forms which are identified and they are worshipped in many temples. They're all old sculptures, very ancient ones, and they are very important to construct the religious history of Goa. Again, a reclining, the one which I've already explained to you, so I'll skip this slide. Reclining Ananta from Sauvere. Surya, sun god, is worshipped in Goa. So the left hand side, what you can see is the sun god, which was worshipped in Kudne in the Bicholi Taluka. Today it is in the Archaeological Survey of India Museum. And you can see why he's called as sun god, because he's supposed to be holding two lotuses in his hand. So he's supposed to be sun god. And here the other one sculpture is from Ponda. He is worshipped as Adinath. Now, he is supposed to ride chariots of 7 horses. So near his feet, where he's standing, you can see the chariot of 7 horses. You can see the horses are shown, and they are 7 in color, which are supposed to represent the 7 colors of the rainbow. So he's the sun god. In Goa, you have this sun god worshipped in 2 or 3 different places. One such sculpture also was found in Margao. Today it is in the Goa State Museum behind the Holy City Church, again of sun god, Surya. I would just like to tell you why this, iconography plays an important role in archaeology today. There are various sculptures which are found, they are mutilated. So you don't understand whose sculpture is this. So here you see there is no attribute, there is no weapon, there is no lotus seen, nor there is the headgear. It is just the two bodies which are seen. So from this, it is difficult to identify exactly who this, to whom this sculpture belongs to. This sculpture is kept in the Archaeological Survey of India Museum at Old Goa, Gallery number 1. And there was a question mark of who this couple could be. This could be a king and a queen of the Kadamba period. It's a very ancient sculpture. It could be a god and a goddess. Okay, so before coming to conclusion who this is, and then finally, bingo, it was discovered that there is a monitor lizard to the side behind the sculpture of the lady, and the monitor lizard is supposed to be the Vahan of Parvati, and that is why this sculpture is identified as Hara Gauri, Shankar Gauri. So you can see the monitor lizard to the left hand side, and there I've put it in a circle. And monitor lizards are very commonly found in Goa. They are a part of our fauna also. I think I'll end my presentation here. I'll throw the this open for any questions, Father.
Yes, yes, Dr. Rohit, thanks for that beautiful presentation. I think you've given us um, a taste of the such a broad spectrum of Hindu iconography, especially found in Goa. There are a lot of questions that have come up, a few comments,
Yeah.
but let me take them to you in the order in which they've come.
Okay.
Firstly, uh, is there any, like one Fraser Andrade asks,
Yes.
whether is there any written book to which one can refer so that
Ah,
to identify any statues or any I,
sculptures.
yes, yes.
Uh, it's a very good question. As of now, there is no such book which pertains to Goa. There is a lot of documentation which is done, but it is kept in it is found in bits and pieces in various books of which were written by authors like Ricardo Teles or Pandurang Pisulekar. Like in we have these inscriptions pre-Portuguese or these various magazines. When this in 1931 the archaeological commission was set up during the Portuguese period, the documentation began, but it was not done in a scientific or a systematic manner. Then Rui Gomes Pereira's book is also there on Hindu temples and deities. Then you have the first director of archives and archaeology Goa State writing a kind of making a documentation title as Ancient Shrines of Goa. But you don't find any book which gives you the concise or a compiled documentation or overview of the various sculptures found in Goa. Another thing is the issue with this documentation is also there, that whenever we have this sculpture, most of them are in the custody of the temples, and they are worshipped, they are adorned with jewelry, they are adorned with different types of clothes and all that. So if you have to document them, you have to go either early in the morning, where they are they are bathed before just before they are bathed, or you have to take the permission of the authorities, the temple authorities, which is little bit a tedious task. They have not refused till now, but then it is, yes, a tedious task. So they are not in the public domain as of now. Public domain meaning to study. So Hindu temples of deities of Goa I've mentioned, yes. So I
Thanks,
don't think
thanks,
there's any other book.
thanks, Doctor.
Yeah.
There's another question regarding the community that was involved in the sculpting of these sculptures. Was there any particular community as such
Yes,
that? Yeah.
yeah. Can I
Yes,
answer?
please. Yes,
Yeah,
please.
there was a sculptors guild, okay, in Goa existing, and this sculptors guild was influenced by the various schools of sculpting, okay. You have with the change in dynasties, of course, like you have the Chalukyan dynasty coming in, the sculptors guild brought in a lot of Chalukyan influences. The Kadam dynasty came in, they brought in a lot of Kadam influences. But another thing is these the sculptors guild, whichever was there, uh, was, I feel, this is just a preliminary finding, was perhaps the carpenters guild today who work with wood. Okay, the carpenters guild also worked with stone, because there are a few references which are found in South Goa where they carved, the carpenters worked with stone, and these sculptures were made by them, some of them. But today there is nobody to carve on stone, with stone, or work with stone in Goa. There is only one
Okay.
person whose name is Gudigar, and he is not from Goa, but he claims that his ancestors were from Goa. So he is there, but he's originally you can't trace him to that he's a Goan, but he claims that his ancestors were Goan.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks. There are a lot of questions, a lot of comments coming in.
yeah,
I'll just pick up one that has come a little earlier.
yeah.
Can you tell us something about a sati stone?
Yeah, a sati. Now, this is very interesting. There are, we normally confuse. There is this pronunciation which is called as sati, and there is another pronunciation with a t, sati. Sati and sati. These are two different things. Okay. Now, after the birth of the child, the sati would be worshipped. Okay, and she was supposed to write the fate of the child. Okay, on the sixth day, sati. And sati with a silent T means the lady, the married lady who has jumped into the funeral pyre of the husband.
Yes.
Okay, now not all communities in Goa committed sati. Okay, it is just a myth that is propagated that everybody went sati. It is only the warrior community who committed sati, not all. Okay, so the sati stone basically shows a hand raised, okay, in the fear not pose like this, okay, and the bangles are shown on her hand. So that shows that she's a married lady and she has committed sati, but yet she protects the village. So these sati stones are there in the museum. If anybody would like to see them, they can go to the Goa State Museum in Panjim.
Thanks, Doctor. One last question before we end.
Yeah.
There are so many questions. I'm afraid I cannot take all of them. But can you tell us what would be the
Okay.
source? What would be the source from which they got these stones? Where did they source
It's,
these stones from? Yeah.
yeah, that's a very interesting question. Goa does not have the stone which is required to carve these sculptures. This stone might have come from the other side, other part of Goa. That is, the other part from the Sattari Taluka, like where the Tamdi Sula temple is built. Okay, that stone is not from this side of Goa. Today, though we have to also know that whatever we call Goa today was is defined by the Portuguese political boundaries. Okay, that was not the Goa during the ancient times. The boundaries kept on fluctuating as the dynasties came in and went. Okay, in the ancient times it was called as Konkan. Now the boundaries of Konkan went up till Ratnagiri and came down up till Karwar. Then you have the various dynasties taking over and the Portuguese coming in. The Portuguese defined their boundaries and that was called as Goa. So if at all Sawantwadi, I'm just giving an example. If at all the Portuguese could take over Sawantwadi, which is in Maharashtra today, that would also become a part of Goa even today.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
so we are just when we are looking at the time frame here, we need to see that these sculptures the stone was brought from place wherever it was available from. Okay, and maybe at that time that was Goa, the bigger Goa. Okay,
Okay.
when the
Okay.
Portuguese took over Goa, the boundaries got limited.
Thanks for that excellent response. And thanks so much, Dr. Rohit, for that excellent presentation. This was just an introduction. We hope to hear and read more about Goan Hindu iconography from you in the
Yeah.
future. Uh, Thanks to all the audience for participating in today's History Hour. I see that there were more than 60 participants. 55 are still present with us this evening. And it is a testimony to the excellence and to your presentation, Dr. Rohit. So congratulations to you.
Thank you so much. I would just like to conclude. Thank you, Father, for inviting me, making a part of this very interesting lecture series of yours. And I would also like to thank the audience here. I would just like to end on a note saying that this is just a glimpse. It is a tip of the iceberg. Whatever I've shown you, I would also request people to get into this history, because apart from Hindu iconography, there is another field which has to be digged into, and that is the Christian iconography, the Christian art, which is called as Christian art today. But the Christian iconography is also very important, because just for the fact that Goa has influenced the Christian iconography. Okay, so because of our cultural trends and traditions, so that I have not seen anybody doing a kind of a, research on that. So
I think that's
kind of cultures, cultures, especially of saints, okay, found in different churches of Goa, are lying unidentified today. So my appeal to the people, to the young scholars who are present here, so if we can, they can take up this part and get into this. It'll be very interesting to construct the cultural heritage of Goa. Because they show a lot of, though they are religious icons, they show a lot of cultural influences, like their the dress and the style and whatever.
thanks,
So
Dr. Rohit.
thank you so much.
Yeah, there is a request about can they get your contact details? What I'll do is I'll put with your permission, your email
Sure, sure,
address.
sure, sure, sure,
Yeah, and
sure,
people can directly address you too with questions if they have, if they find
sure,
something interesting, and so on. So
sure,
thanks a
sure.
lot for that lovely
Thank you, Father.
presentation. We've come to the end of today's presentation, and just a small reminder for those of you who are also interested in history. I'll just share my screen for a moment. And these are a couple of publications from the Xavier Center. One is called The Jesuits of the Goa Province, a historical overview, 1542 to 2000, authored by Gregory Naik. Another publication that we have is The Public History of Goa, edited by Sabio Abreu, Anthony da Silva, and Reinald de Souza. And we also have an upcoming publication. It is called The Jesuit in South Asia. So it's with the press and it is due to hit the stands next month. So any one of you interested in also learning a little bit about Goa, about the Jesuits, this would be a beautiful resource. So thanks a lot to all of you for participating in today's History Hour, and have a good evening. For those of you in the West, have a good day, and God bless all of you.
Thank you, Father.